Having a single mother and a mother of 4 kids, for one, I knew I wouldn't be able to have much help when it came to school. So that was always the goal. Make sure you can get enough grants, make sure you can get enough free offers so that you don't have to put your money into school because you know you won't have any help doing it. First it was COVID, and then after that it was me chasing the things that I wanted to pursue, and it got in between school, and kind of from there my grades haven't been the same since. Things were good whenever my parents were together. I think it was after they divorced is when things kind of went downhill, and that's when I was like 8 or 9. I either stopped hearing back from them or they would keep prolonging the process of me getting paid, and long story short, they didn't pay me for that at all.
Hello friends, welcome to another episode of Real Money Habits with me, Sharan Amit. Today, we talk to Devonte from New Jersey. Devonte is a full-time student who grew up in a single-parent household. He took it upon himself to ensure good college education by securing scholarship and grants. He's also leveraging the gig economy to support himself and someday hopes to make a career out of it. However, lack of financial education and missteps keep pulling him down. In some way, Devonte represents a lot of young men in our society today. Join me for this insightful conversation.
Hey, my name is Devonte Infinity. I'm 23 years old and I'm from Dallas, Texas. Money to me, even though I'm not a materialistic person, I know it's needed. It's a building block and you need it to cover your responsibilities.
Perfect. Hey, Devonte, it's a pleasure talking to you. And I think I agree with your definition that money is something which is needed, which is a necessity in life, right? So it's better to recognize that and use it for what it is, right? So it's not everything in life, but it's important, it's needed, it's a need. So we need to work towards it and hopefully work towards it in a methodical way where we have a plan towards our money, how it comes, where it goes. So in this one, we'll just talk about how you are dealing with money in your life. All right, that's the purpose of today's chat. Okay, cool. So you're staying in Dallas. Like, what made you choose Dallas? Have you ever always been there? Like, did you grow up there?
Yeah, I grew up in Dallas, Texas, and I've just been all around Texas through life, but this is where I was born and raised.
Oh, wow. That's nice. So we have one thing working for you. The whole world, at least the whole country, is looking to move to Texas. We keep hearing about the migration that happens to Texas and Florida. You're already in a great place. So good for you. So Devonte, tell me, what are you doing? Like, are you still studying, or you finished your college, and how are you placed now?
Yeah, so I am still in college. I'm a college student. It's my 3rd year. I'm almost done, but at the same time, I'm pushing what I want to go through. I'm pushing what I want to do later in life as well. So that's modeling and content creating. So I'm doing everything at the same time. It's not the easiest thing, but we're doing it.
I like a student who is clear about where he is going to. So in this case, you are not just doing college and leaving it, okay, let's first enjoy life and I'll deal with it when I come out of college.
Yeah.
Trust me, there are many who are doing that. But I like how you're thinking about what you'll do. And hopefully, as we'll discuss, you have been telling me, right, that you are doing certain things on the side, preparing yourself, and in fact, already dabbling in a few things which aligns with your larger vision of what you want to do.
Of course.
So that's awesome. Tell me, what is your major in college? What are you studying?
So my major is mass communications, radio, television, and film. The only problem is I'm realizing that that's not what I wanted to be in school for. So I'm currently in the process of figuring out how I want to finish out school.
Okay, so that's interesting. Again, you are not an anomaly. In fact, there are many who pick up college and then realize halfway through that probably this is not something that they want to do. But what made you choose this? Like, at that time, was your thinking different, or you just chose whatever somebody else suggested? Just walk me through it.
Of course. Yeah, so I mean, of course, the thinking was different because being in a different part in time and especially a different part in career. But at that time, it was hard to pick one thing. And I decided that I would go to school for something to do with, TV, radio. So going to school for mass communications, radio, television, and film seemed like the right thing. But up until this point, that's when I'm starting to realize that one of the reasons why my interest has gone down and my grades has gone down is because, unfortunately, I'm realizing it's not really what I expected it to be. At the time, and especially now that I've been pushing what I want to push and seeing what's working, I'm starting to realize that I meant more of the film side of things and not the news conferences, not the public relations, media and things like that. It's not what I expected it to be. And
Right. And that's fair. Like I said, it happens. But knowing what you know now, and there may be other viewers of this channel who are students themselves or who are considering what to pick up in college, right? And what you're saying is sometimes the title or the premise can be misleading. So what message would you give to such students, like when picking up a course, what else should they evaluate? Or do you have any message for them?
yeah, I would say, depending on where you're going, your program, your degree could be something very specific, but in my case, it might not be very specific. So, and on top of all the different things that come with my degree, I realized that I actually wanted to do just a certain aspect of the degree. So I would say to make sure, depending on the school and the program you're entering, make sure what you want to do, you have to confirm what you want to do. If you want it to be this little thing, or if you're actually interested in the entirety that comes within all the different depths of the industry. So that was my mistake, not realizing and looking deeper into it. I want to do more film related stuff. I want to create, give me a camera and I'll go do something. But news articles and things like that, if you wanted to go to school for film, you're not going to care about doing news presses and conferences and things like that. So
Makes sense. So tell me this, was the career opportunity and more so financial opportunities, were those a consideration? Like, in the sense, what would you do after this and what will it entail in terms of the money you'll make? Was that a consideration, or when you chose a course, you were just focusing on this is what I want to do?
it's a bit of a tough one because I knew that I could get a great starting job after obtaining the degree in this field. But at the same time, I knew for the things that I wanted to do, you don't technically need a degree for it. So it was more so, let me go to school for something that I feel like, even if I wouldn't need it later, I could still use it if need be. And it'd be something that I'm interested in.
Okay. And that's fair. Thanks for being honest. But again, sometimes the guidance is that if you, be aware at least what you are picking up, be aware that what kind of financial opportunities this will generally throw up, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that I tell my kids is that it's important to kind of do what you like, right? Study, for example, things that you like. It's important, but wouldn't it be good that you study something that will ensure that you can find a good paying either job, or if you want to do something on your own, you can learn skills which will bring money. And that money gives you a lot of options to do things that you like. So why you want to spend only 2 or 3 years or even 4 years studying in college things that you like? Why not maybe study something which maybe you only half like or whatever, but you know that will give you a career or a lot of opportunities, you'll have a lot more money. And then you have next 50 years to use that money to do things that you like, right? That kind of thought process. Sometimes you fail to realize that, and kids, they just think that next 3 years I can only do this. I love this, so I will only do this and nothing else. And like I said, if what you love, you also have a plan about how you will sustain yourself, by all means do it. But if you have doubts, the suggestion is do something which will bring money, and then use that money to sort of plan in your entire life, hopefully doing things that you like.
Yeah.
So that's one way to sort of look at it.
Definitely, yeah. That's important.
Okay, cool. So you are in college. How are you paying for college? Do you have loans?
Well, to begin with, I had enough grants to be able to cover it. But as my grades started dropping, I lost my financial aid. So I did have to get a couple loans and put my own money into it, which is tough.
Okay. We can talk about that. But I find this interesting. A young man telling me that he had a lot of grants to get the kind of that would have paid for the college, which is great. So How did you manage that? Tell me that backstory. Like when you were preparing for college or doing school, was this always in your mind that I need to keep my grades so that I get enough grants and my college should be
Yeah.
paid for?
Yeah. So having a single mother and a mother of 4 kids, for one, I knew I wouldn't be able to have much help when it came to school. So that was always the goal. Make sure you can get enough grants, make sure you can get enough free offers so that you don't have to put your money into school, because you won't have any help doing it.
I know. So again, it's an unfortunate truth in our society that there are lot many single mothers who are bringing up their kid alone, but not every kid is behaving irresponsibly,
Yeah.
right? So I give kudos to you and your mom, frankly, right? That was the right upbringing, and you had your balanced head on your shoulders, which thought about the broader picture that if your mom is putting so much effort, you have to play your part.
Exactly.
So I hope people take inspiration from that. But well done. Which college are you in?
Currently, I'm at Texas State.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I don't know about it, but how does it place? Like, is it considered a good college with good opportunities for
Oh,
kids
yeah.
coming out of?
Yes. It's a great college. It's one of the biggest colleges in the state, I believe. Very popular as well.
Very nice. And you managed to get grant, which was kind of paying for your entire college.
Yeah.
Right?
It
We'll
was
talk about the problems that you're facing, but you were able to set yourself up there,
for the
right?
most part,
So
yeah.
that's really, really awesome, because again, what it does is, right, and this is message for everyone. If you're able to figure out a way to pay for college, this what you did is best. If you can get grants and scholarships, that's best because of your situation and the effort that you put in, bring your grades up. That's best. If not, if you have to do some work on the side and try and pay for it, or maybe if your family can fund it, what I'm saying is it's a great springboard if you can come out of college and be debt free, because it again another unfortunate truth of our society is so many kids, so many young adults are coming out of college and they have such a big debt load on their head that for the next first 10 years of their life, which in my opinion is very, very important, where if they had money to spare, they can set themselves up for life, their retirement, they can do other things, spend money and invest money in building more skills or building new businesses, but they're bogged down with student loans. So a great start, right? And again, I commend you for that. But now what I'm hearing is that, did you squander that opportunity that came your way by letting your grades slip?
Yes, unfortunately, that's another issue that I'm having to resolve right now.
Wow. But why would you allow that to happen? Like, you had this golden opportunity, getting a grant. Shouldn't you have been more responsible and made sure that your grades stay up so that you don't go find yourself in a situation? What happened? Like,
Yes, you're right. I do hold myself to that to a degree, but at the same time, it started a complication during COVID. So first it was COVID, and then after that, it was me chasing the things that I wanted to pursue, and it got in between school, and kind of from there, my grades haven't been the same since.
So COVID, I understand. COVID was a disruptive event for everyone. But when you say you were chasing something, give me a little bit more color. What were you chasing that was more important than your grades?
Well, I wouldn't put it that way, but yeah, after COVID, my grades went down after COVID, and then the next year when stuff was finally operable, things started going down again because I was in the middle of pursuing, modeling, and I was booked and having to travel, be here, be there for this and that did end up creating issues in school, of course.
So you're traveling for sort of the side work that you're doing because you're preparing for a career.
Yeah,
Right.
preparing for a career.
And I know it can be tough. It can be tough depending upon what the career path you have chosen. Right. But you really ought to be careful. You cannot allow this to set you back. We just spoke about how you have been setting yourself up financially. Regardless, you should not lose your grant. But I'm saying unless this thing is paying you so much that you don't have to take loans or anything like that, unless that the rewards are there, please don't do it. Would you say the rewards are there? Is it paying you enough? Or you're just thinking that you're setting up yourself, sort of setting a baseline on which you'll probably earn more later?
Yeah. So even though currently the times are a bit different right now, but at that time, of course, I wanted to keep my grades high and keep my grants because they were covering, my school and was able to pay me some. But I wasn't able to get a job. I always struggled getting jobs, and so that's where it came into play. Struggling to get a job and knowing I need to make money, so I am taking these gigs because that's what's paying me. But at the same time, even though school is being costed in a way, but it's like I have to be able to support myself. And on top of that, if I can't get a job and I'm a student, I need to be bringing something in, especially pursuing these things. Traveling isn't cheap. But how am I going to pay for that when, I'm in school and I can't get a job? This is what was working.
So we'll talk about what gigs you're doing, because I understand your logic, and that's fair. You do need to sustain yourself, so you do need to do something. And I commend you for that you are not depending on either the grants or family for that matter to just give you money, which is good. But if this is only so that you can have some money, then why are you doing this traveling kind of gigs? Aren't there other gigs that you can do right there locally?
Yeah, and so that's why after that, like I said, it's a different time now than it was at that time. Now I've been able to secure and make the right connections to be able to take on more remote gigs. So that's what I started getting more into after those types of issues.
Okay. So tell me, what kind of gigs you started with? Then we'll talk about what you're doing now. But
definitely,
say, was that a year ago, or how long ago was that?
It started in college, so anywhere from 2 to 3 years ago is when I really got.
You have been doing for 2 to 3 years. You have been working,
definitely,
which is good. Okay, so what kind of gigs were those, which led you to travel and all?
Model work, having to go to different locations in Texas for different companies, different photo shoots or advertisements, commercial work, or having to go out of state to do it. I had to go to Pennsylvania for a summer for a gig that I took. That was paying really well. I used it to pay off school when all the issues were happening. And I've even had to go to LA for different shoots and, runway events and stuff like that.
Okay. I must tell you, you have the looks, man. So I'm glad you are making use of it.
Yeah.
You have the looks of a model. Very nice. So, but how did you get into modeling? Were you always interested, or somebody introduced you to that?
No, I wasn't interested in it at all. I wasn't interested in it at all. I didn't see it at all. But it started right before college, because my senior year photo shoot, my aunt, she did it. She's a professional photographer. So, she went all out for 3 or 4 different sets. And that's when it started happening. People were saying, teachers, staff, and students, everyone that saw it was saying, oh, you should model, you should, look into it. And I was like, nah. Because I didn't see myself doing that. And I felt like the image for it wasn't what I had. But when I went to college, I told myself, this is the real world now. You need to start taking risks. You need to start, saying yes more. And so that's when those opportunities started to become present. I just kind of just went with it. And the rest is kind of just history.
Love it. It's a great story. And I also love it, like how you sort of give credit to your aunt, because she looks like she is the one who first believed you or saw it in you right before you saw it. And that's awesome. Yeah. And sometimes we really need, that's where mentors come in. That's where family friendly or friends come in. Sometimes you just need somebody to believe in you, right? Yeah. There are some people who are kind of just self-motivated, or you are able to figure it out, but a lot of us do need somebody to believe in you. And that's why it's so important to have the right support from family, mentors, teachers. And I'm glad you found one. Yeah, exactly. Somebody who believes in you and who pushes you, who does things for you. So excellent, very inspiring story. And I wish this for everyone, that you find somebody who believes in you, because that can really push.
Yeah.
It does a lot for your self-confidence and then pushes you in the right direction. So great. You're doing modeling. You're saying it's good money, but it's kind of requiring you to travel. But would you say that even now your gigs are related to that modeling, even though you're doing things remotely?
Yes. And I would say now I think that they're more content creating and, UGC, more commercial work. But I've been able to figure out how to do all these things hybridly or remotely. So that saves a lot of time. That does save a lot of money. And certain platforms that I have connections with, I can make the same amount of money if I land one of those gigs as I could make traveling somewhere as well, you know? So
That's awesome. That's awesome. And frankly, some of these opportunities are available to anyone who really wants to do those, right? And then puts their heart into it. Because for our audience, would you please explain what is UGC and how you're doing it?
So UGC is user-generated content, and basically what that is these ads that you see on your phone. You know, you can be on social media. You know, you see these different ads with different people talking about different brands. You know, different products, different things like that. Just these, it's basically digital ads. Whether it's in person or you do it remotely, that's the power of it, because UGC it's more authentic. So you don't need to go to a studio to do it. You just pull up your phone and you can do the same thing. And it's a very powerful field. Very.
So where it's basically brands paying you, right, to give them testimonials, hopefully authentic. But the idea is like you said, it's not a model coming in a studio and then creating an ad, acting in an ad. It comes very authentic. Somebody is talking on your phone and praising this, this new shampoo that they found, right? Or this new camera that they are using. That really works for the brand. And in the social world, that social proof is very important, right? But there are opportunities and there are platforms. I'm sure you are in many of those, like Fiverr, Upworks, and other agencies that are really big on UGC.
Yeah,
so somebody
where
who, right, and it does not really need you, again, like you said, doesn't need you to really look very good on camera. It helps, but it right, people have this mental block that I may not look good on camera, or I'm not young, or whatever, right? Different aspects. But UGC is kind of, by definition, it should be applicable for everyone who is able to talk on camera. But like, I'm just saying that this is something which more people can actually try.
Definitely, yeah. You have the ones that are looking for models. You have the ones that are looking for creators, and then you have the ones where they're kind of just looking for someone that looks a certain way or a certain age. So, and luckily for me, I've been able to get work through all those things.
So what will you say, this effort, doing UGC and other kind of content creation, what kind of money are you bringing in, like say on a monthly basis?
Well, that's the thing with doing this type of work in this industry, and especially being a freelancer, is there's never an exact answer. There's never a definite answer during the hustle part of it.
I know. But still, if you have to go with an average, and then we'll talk about how it differs. But just to get an idea, what kind of money are you bringing in?
Yeah, I see. So
we're just talking about last couple of months, for example.
Last couple of months, I'll say things have been able to get a little bit more consistent, but at the same time, there's been a few in the last couple of months that have also backed out where I had lost money. So where it could be a couple months in a row where it could be a couple hundred, sometimes it could be a few hundred. But lately, it's been more so I've been able to connect with more brands and more platforms. So I'm starting to bring more in. But also on top of that, I've been making more connections. Whereas this month, I was supposed to bring in 3 times more the amount of what is usual. But unfortunately, those companies backed out last minute.
Okay. So we'll talk about that. But just again, give me a number. Is it few hundred for the gig, or you said the few hundreds for the whole month? Is that what you make?
Sometimes the gigs can be under 100, a couple hundred. Sometimes that could be a few. And same thing with, what was the other one that you were saying?
No, I was just asking that if you're, say, making, let's just assume you make $100 a gig, and how many such gigs you can do in a month, or you generally do a month?
Okay,
is it 10, 15, or 1, 2? I'm just trying to still get a number for the month, just an average. I know it's very inconsistent.
I'll say over the last couple of months, I think last month it could have been a few hundred. Like if I have a few bookings a month, that can be a few hundred. This month, things were super slow, but I was able to land a gig that paid a few hundred itself. I'm open to doing as many as I can. Some weeks I can do a few and have a few hundred come in at some point during that month. Some weeks I can do a few and only have a couple hundred come in during that month. It just depends on the gig.
So Devonte, if this is the case, then even in a good month, unless things really blow up, you're saying you'll just make a few hundred, say $500 a month. Right? That sounds about right. You'll consider it a decent month if you're making $500 a month.
As of this last month, I'd say yes.
Okay. But how does that work for you? Like if you're bringing 500, is it sufficient to pay your bills that you have now as a college student?
Not exactly, and that's why I've been looking to get a remote gig, an actual remote job on top of doing the freelance work until things are super consistent.
I see. Uh, so again, let's work with 500. If you are bringing $500 a month, now give me how many hours do you think you're working for these gigs?
I'll say if I'm bringing 500 a month, let's say this month I bring in 500. Right now, it can hold me because I'm not on a lease right now. I'm back home. So if 500 a month can hold me right now, but I need to get another apartment soon. So that's why I'm looking for more work and to get something more stable so that it can be enough to have on the side on top of bringing in more. So 500 right now, yeah, it can work.
Okay. But how many hours do you need to sort of work for?
Hours
Both in terms of the actual work and then some, I'm sure there is some to and fro in landing the gig, right? You spend some time. So I'm just trying to see what are the returns on your effort? How much effort are you putting into bringing this 500?
I see. So bringing in 500 a month can be, sometimes that can be working maybe 9-10 hours a week, creating content for whether it's one project or multiple. It's a little difficult to kind of break down the time because I'm always working on a daily basis, multiple hours throughout the day, but some of that work is either bringing in money or setting me up to bring in money.
I know. And that's why I was asking that sometimes you don't realize, it looks like, hey, I recorded this video, it took me 30 minutes and I made $100, right? So on the face of it, it may look like you are making $30, like $100 for a 30-minute video. But like you rightly said, you had to sort of create your profile, either apply for a job and then answer questions and then maybe do 2 revisions because the client did not like what you created. Right? All those are part of the job. So that's why I wanted you to keep that holistic picture in mind. And if you ask me, it would probably be more than 40 hours a month that you would end up working, like you said, right? Right. So look at it from this other perspective, right? That if you're working, say again for calculation, ease of calculation's sake, if you're working 50 hours a month and you're bringing $500, then that gives you about $10 an hour.
An hour.
Right. So that also has to be kept in mind that maybe, and frankly, if you're working more, maybe it is $8 an hour. You never know, right? So think about that. I know there is flexibility with remote, but you also have to strike a balance. Are there other things that you can do? Do everything needs to be remote, right? Frankly, and I'm not suggesting that you do it, but nowadays McDonald's is paying $14 an hour. To anyone with a pulse, right? So because service industry is really hiring and there are a lot of jobs available. So like I said, I'm not telling you to go get a full-time job there, but something to consider that if you can be a little bit more consistent, like I can give from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. every day, I'm available. I can actually go, in this case, go and do this type of job, whether it is driving for Uber or doing, and I'm just giving an example, right? Whatever suits you. But you have to do a comparison and see where is my effort, 2 things. Where is my effort rightly spent and where is my return of money, right? And second, which may be the reason why you may continue to do what you're doing, is am I learning, am I making connections, like you said, which will set me up for something bigger down the line, right? Either way, one, you have to sustain yourself. So if the returns are so low that you can't sign a lease, you can't sustain yourself, right? Then you obviously have to figure something out, do something different. But the second aspect is, doing these kind of gig works, are they really building up your profile and setting you up for something bigger where you can either start charging much more or do something different? If you have mapped that out already, then it makes sense.
That's how I've been able to work with major companies. So whether it's a 30-minute video for $100, a 30-minute video for $250, or something that'll take a few hours to bring the same amount of money, or I still have these establishes with these companies. So there's been a couple times where I can bring in 1,000, it just depends on just like you said.
Okay. Yeah. So do that consideration, but I would say that don't, at least in your age and the kind of returns that you're getting on your effort, my strong recommendation would be to not do just one thing. So don't stop doing what you're doing, but carve it out. Don't just let it be unlimited. You say that couple of hours a day, for example, or I'm keeping these 2 days or 3 days a week where I'm really focusing on my acting gigs, but I'm freeing up some other time where I can explore other things where maybe I can get a better return on my time right now, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to strike a balance. You have to pay your bills now and you have to prepare for future.
And
So
that's what
that may be the better path for you. But always keep in mind that you do have to do a return and
yeah.
look at these phantom times, right? Which the effort that you're putting, which does not get counted. We spoke about it. So do have a consideration for that.
And that's exactly what I've been doing lately. I've been rebranding, reaching out, building more connections, and been able to set more things up so that I can start bringing in, more money, because I have to get another lease back in a couple months, So that's why I've started to reach back out, rebrand, and I've been able to create bigger things that'll be coming soon.
Okay, that's cool. So if you allow me, I would want to jump back again into childhood just a bit, because we did speak about how you kind of behave responsibly. But tell me, while growing up, you already spoke about single mother household, but like how was money growing up? Was money tight, and what kind of lessons you drew from there while growing up?
Oh, yeah. So I think things were good whenever my parents were together. I think it was after they divorced is when things kind of went downhill. And that's when I was like 8 or 9. So kind of from there, it went from, I feel like, things being so consistent to having to struggle and then having to rebuild and work yourself back up. And then there comes the real world after that. My siblings and I now, we're all over 18. So, we all have had to, bring in money, and get jobs and things like that. And I think that's a part of why we hustle so hard and we grind so much, because we've seen our mother have to do it on her own. And, now we're older, we all have to take care of things and put things in. And I think that played a major role in why I have the hustle that I do.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. But tell me this, did one of the parents, like either mom or dad, like I'm just asking about dad rather, did he have money, for example, and you saw one parent struggling, or you would see that pretty much both struggle? Keeping the relationship aspects apart, I'm just talking financially.
It was pretty bad.
Only one household struggling, or you would say that both the households were struggling?
I would say it was balanced. I'll say it was stable. One, I don't think, of course, it was still mid-class, but it wasn't, I guess you would say, a struggle. Like, we had everything that we needed.
Okay.
So
that's good. So then, like, you seem like a mature person. Like we already discussed that you sort of decided to do it right. So did you see something that led you to be responsible around money, or you just think that your mother, for example, she taught you, or you had a teacher? I'm just trying to find, did you have an influence which led you to behave, which I feel much responsibly, where you decided to do the college right? You're thinking pretty early about what you do in your career. So what was the background? Did you kind of teach yourself, or you had some influence?
I would say I had some sort of influence subconsciously because of my mother, but at the same time, I think life and having a drive to want to do something can also push you to a different level as well.
Sure. But your friend circle, or the group that you sort of grew up with, do you think that all of them were mostly driven and talking the same language, or you found yourself more of an oddity where you were much focused and other kids were just enjoying life?
I think it was 50-50. I had those people around me that were ambitious, and I had those people around me that didn't really care, in which at that time it was okay, but present day, it's not acceptable. If you have this type of drive and you want to get somewhere, you have to be surrounded by people that have the same thing or want to be somewhere. You can't have those people that don't want to do anything anymore.
Loved it. And kind of that's the message I was looking for. Again, for others who are listening, just don't look at the present. Like today, your life may be great if you have a friend who really smokes weeds or let you enjoy life. But think about long term and figure out, like, is this the right company for the long term? So I'm glad that you were able to pull yourself out. Awesome. So what are your plans, Devonte? Like once you come out of college, right? And you already said that what you're studying now only takes you sort of halfway, or you'll partly use it. So what are you looking at coming out of the college? Apart from doing, say, gig type of work, are you thinking that you'll stay a freelancer, or would you look for a more stable job? Which way you are leaning towards?
That's interesting. I think half of that depends on how things go between now and then, because there's a really good chance that something could pop. But on the present scale, I would say I have to decide what I want to go back to school for, whether it's going to be something completely different to finish, or whether I'm going to figure out something that has to do with film. But in terms of having a degree as well in the background, I could use it to have something stable, or I could use it 50-50 with pushing what I want to do. But I can also combine them, because if it's something that is another area of what I'm looking into, then it could influence that as well.
Okay, so you think it's pretty open for now, and which is okay. Like I said, if things can pop up, if you're getting the right opportunity, that's fine. One good thing is that you have already started doing things on the side, so nothing stops you from, at least to start with. If something goes very well for you, if you're already doing great as a freelancer content creator, why not continue? But if things are just floating and you've not made it big yet, maybe it may be a good idea to pick up a job that gives you other stability and other factors like insurance and everything, and then go still keep doing things on the side, right? Because people spend years just thinking about what else can they do. Since you have already started doing it, some of these learnings, like initial few years, are tough for anything you start.
Yeah.
And that's another lesson which you're what you're doing is inspiring, and hopefully others are taking notes, that you decide to struggle now when you are in college. So you're not really expected to do work full time anyway. But since you're doing some of this hustle now, so some of these learnings and connections that you're making are coming now for you. So you are giving yourself a good start when you have to actually start life.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about gig work. I have been really interested, and this is more about your opinion on general gig economy, right? And it's not specific to just the acting gig that you're doing. But I've been interested in exploring this. I see it's blowing up. Everyone is part of gig economy doing something or other, right? Which is, in one way, it is great that it has opened up opportunity for everyone. But I also feel like many companies are able to exploit that to get some work done without having to take responsibility for that individual as a sort of employee and giving them a lot of benefits. So what are your views, and what kind of situations have you seen?
Yeah, that's a real issue. It's a real thing. It doesn't happen to me. It hasn't happened to me that many times, but I know some people it's happened a lot too. But I have a great example of that actually. Last summer, I was booked to work with this fashion company. They send me a jacket. Hey, take pictures in this and post it, and shut us out. We'll pay you this. And so I got it. I got the product. Not only did I create content, but I took some very high quality professional shots of the product, posted it, and they reposted it and everything. And I either stopped hearing back from them, or they would keep prolonging the process of me getting paid. And long story short, they didn't pay me for that at all.
Wow. And would you say it was a reputable company or just a small company from somewhere?
It was a small company. So
there are shady kind of players in the economy and in this, and sometimes it becomes difficult to sort of separate out, right? Who is genuine? And I'm sure it's on both sides.
Oh.
Like sometimes there are workers who don't deliver what they promise. I'm sure that happens to companies.
Yeah.
But I hear you. So that's a challenge with this. Does it help to work through a platform? I don't know if you're working with them directly or through a platform. Again, does it help to work through a platform? Do they help sort such situations out?
It can be a bit of both. It can be a bit of both easily on either end. But I will say there's been some issues that have happened just through emails, but there's also issues that can happen through a platform. And reason being is because now, even though some of those scams can get hit off of the platforms, at the same time, I feel like you really don't know still who you're even, communicating with. And that's kind of one of the tricky things with the industry with doing remote work is, even though a lot of it is legitimate, at the same time, if it's just remote, you really don't have any idea who you're actually communicating with and what you're submitting to.
True. Very true. Okay. So like we discussed, it's both opportunity and there are challenges. I think it's something where you have to go with your eyes open. So if you are booking on an average 7 gigs a month, probably you have to expect that 1 or 2 gigs will not really pan out or they will not pay, right? That probably may be the approach. You have to sort of budget it accordingly if that is the reality of the world you're living in. It's unfortunate, but I think that's how you have to do it. Okay. So very soon you'll be coming out, and like I said, either you'll go into a full career. It can be as an entrepreneur, it can be the job. You have any thoughts about how you'll set yourself up for your life? So finding the right kind of employment or business is one thing, but in terms of money, how money will shape your life, right? Have you given it any thought? And then I'll tell you what I'm kind of leaning towards is that it's very important for young people to know that whatever money they earn, saving is a requirement right at the beginning. There are certain things that you need to do in first 5-10 years of your earning life, which is very important. But most of the young professionals, they don't realize, like by the time, like I said, they come out of the student loans or they realize what this world is and what all these different terminologies are, 5-10 years have passed and they are already at a stage where it is slightly delayed. So have you thought about it, or do you think you need some help to sort of think in that direction? Where are you with that?
To kind of creating something stable.
Not just stable. So I don't want to jump the gun and predict what will you do, because you are still a student, right? But what I'm saying is, let's do a hypothetical that you come out and you start earning. Let's just go with an average salary, right? You make about $60,000 to $70,000 a year, right? Either through your gig work, other work that you do, or through a full-time job, right? But it's important for you to start thinking now about how your life would look like if you make that kind of money, right? I'm talking about that whenever you start making some money, right, which is more than what you really need to sustain yourself, there can be that mentality that, hey, I've deprived myself so long, let me enjoy life now. And it's important to enjoy life, no two ways about it. But what I want you to understand is that there is this aspect of saving money for future, and the earlier you do it, the more impactful it is. So as a young professional, for example, you're 25 and you start earning this kind of money. If you decide to set aside, say, $1,000 a month, if you're able to do it at that time, maybe it will be a little difficult, but you start to set aside $1,000 a month and invest it for long term, right? If you do from 25 to 35 years, if you're able to really do it, it's almost a guarantee that you will retire a multimillionaire. Because of this one habit. Right? Just because of this one habit. Because once you invest in the beginning and then you have time for money to grow long term, that goes a long, long way. So because you are a smart individual who has really planned his life to the extent, I just want you to know that please do some more reading about it if you want to kind of plan about once you start making some money, how you should invest. But please keep in mind that day one or month one is when you start thinking about investing or retirement. It's in very few people's mind at that point of time of their life, but it's very important. So that will be my advice to you, that continue the right decisions that you are making for your life. Make sure it translates or it stays with you when you start making real money.
Even more so.
Okay, so I have some, call it fun questions or quick questions. If money was not an issue, Devan, tell me, what will you like to spend most money on? Like if it was not an issue, you had unlimited money or good supply of money, what is one thing where you'll want to spend most on?
First and foremost, it would have to be investing. And the second after that would be making sure this would be a good amount of money, making sure that all of my people are good. And then I guess I could say thirdly for myself, I think I would really just use it to, I guess you couldn't say physically buy freedom, but if you have money and you have time, you can buy some sort of freedom. And that's really what the goal is for me. That's what I would, if I have the extra, well, when I have the extra, I want to purchase, buy into something that is going to make you feel more free.
Okay. And all of this is great answer. I love it that you have a balanced head, like I have been saying throughout this podcast. And all these are great answers. But since we are now in a fun part of the question, it has to be something which is fun and you're splurging on. So no saving, no helping somebody. Tell me, what would you like to spend money on? What is something which...
Okay. When I start bringing in that type of money consistently, something fun I definitely want to get into is buying different props from movies, different vehicles from movies. Like I would love to have a garage full of the cast of characters from Transformers. Yeah, that's what I would do. I don't care about Lamborghinis. I don't care about all that. I would buy a garage and have all the different vehicles in it from Transformers.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So you are a collector of film memorabilia.
That's what I would want to do.
Very nice. This is another question which I often ask. Tell me, what will you prefer? 100K today in your hand or $1 million 10 years down the line? If both were a surety, which one will you pick? If both were behind $2
now or 10 million, or you said $1 million in a year?
Just $1 million. $1 million after 10 years or 100K today?
I'll take the 100K today.
You think a bird in hand is better?
I think I would take 10K today, but reason being is because I know some investments that I could make that would easily bring in 6-7 figures. So that's why I would say that.
Okay. So honestly, and then that's fine. Like we all need money and sometimes we need them now. But I will just caution you, the statement that you made that investments that can bring 6 figures very quickly. Sometimes you are saved from such investments, frankly, because you don't have money.
Exactly.
So as you get earning real money, there will be a lot of claimant to that money, right? A lot of ideas you'll see on internet. You will see well-intentioned friends telling you about those investments which can double your money overnight and all that. My advice would be very, very careful and refrain from putting your hard-earned money into such get-rich-quick investments.
Yeah.
They mostly don't play out. They sound very good, but most of the time don't play out. Having said that, I'll tell you what my personal approach is. My personal approach is that I will take my money that I'm making, I'll put most of them, up to 90%, into more stable investments. And there are different categories. Depending upon how much you earn, you can decide. Not going into that. But I do put little money aside, which I call play money. Part of it I use for short-term trading, which just gives me kick and I get to enhance my knowledge. And there is a very little percentage which I can actually spend on such investments, right? Which I will put in crypto or a new project just for the heck of it, right? I want to learn about it. If it grows, great. But if the only money that you can put in investments like that is the money that it becomes zero, if you lose 100% of it, you'll not lose your sleep.
Yeah.
If you have that money like that, then yeah, sure. Why not? Try it out. Maybe it'll double overnight, right? But if you think that it's a money that losing it will be painful, my advice would be not to try such investments with that kind of money. So, because again, it has been proven, every time it feels like we always look post-factor and we say, I should have invested in that. But we only hear about those success stories or those 1 or 2 projects that really gave a lot of money. Nobody talks about those 98 times when things failed and everything went down the drain. So be very careful there. Okay, cool. If you could live anywhere in the world, Devonte, where would you like to live in?
That's a great question. I think first I would live somewhere in Europe, maybe Italy for a while. I've been working on learning Italian as well.
Oh, you're learning Italian?
Yeah.
You really want to live in Italy, right? Very nice. It's a great place, I'm sure. Okay, this was nice. So let me ask this. This question is, again, not specific to, I don't know if you have a partner now, right? So you can talk about your own partner or just your vision of your partner, because the question is, how important is it for you that the partner that you have, the significant other that you have a financial compatibility with them? This is because this is a financial podcast. How important is that? That's not the first thing that we look for in our partner. But again, one, having seen what you have seen your own parents go through, and then having seen the world, right? How I want to see how does a 23-year-old strike that balance, right? How important do you think it is for partners to be financially compatible, be on the same page?
That's major. That's it's very important to be stable. It's very important to be stable in a relationship because that can create issues on its own. There's so many relationships that fall out because they don't have stability. But stability means a lot. Communication is a lot as well. So anyone that I'm talking to we have to be able to communicate, and we have to be able to have that drive that is bringing some sort of success to us. It can't be one-sided. Unless, of course, that's communicated, but you get what I'm saying.
I do. And I love that you say that because that's another advice that I give to young people and everyone. And that obviously that will not be the first thing that you see, but if you really like somebody, do make sure that you are testing the waters. And like you said, you are able to at least communicate about finances. If that's something which your partner will either just not care for, not talk about, it's a red flag. You may still want to go ahead knowing that there is a red flag, but don't walk into a relationship with your eyes closed, right? At least so. Best scenario is you're able to communicate, find there is compatibility. Otherwise, at least go with your eyes and ears open and know how you will deal with it.
Of course.
But for God's sake, don't do it without even caring about it, and then let your life suffer, or for that matter, let your kids suffer, right? So, okay, that's awesome. Devon, I think this was great. Let me ask one more thing before I let you go. Are you watching your credit score? Are you aware that you need to maintain a good credit score? Have you taken any step which will either make it worse or help you in the long run?
Yeah, so I am still young. I feel like I'm fairly learning about credit, but I have heard that mine's good for what it is, and I was surprised as well, honestly.
So if you have not done anything stupid like missed payments or run up credit card debts, you will generally start on a good footing.
Okay.
But but the idea again is when you are young, it's very easy to get in the loop. Like, I don't know, do you have a credit card?
I do. I don't use it too much.
Okay. So that's smart. And that's probably why you have good credit. Have a credit card, but either don't use it or use it minimally and make sure you're paying it in full every time.
Okay.
Don't worry about points, credit card points, or any other features. Just use it minimally because history of your credit is important. So the time period that you have had the credit card will be important in the long run. So hold on to it. Don't return it, but don't overspend for sure. Because one bad move and then everything will go away. But yeah, since you already have a credit card, you're in a great position. You can start creating your credit history by making sure to religiously follow this. It may seem trivial at this point, but if you miss payment once, you will realize that you had a great opportunity and you're not able to take a loan or something, right? Or you have to pay insane interest because of that. When you will need it 3-4 years down the line, this one missed payment will hit you there. Your interest rate will be very high. So keep that like how you have done in other aspects of your life. Keep that in your mind and play it safe with your credit.
I agree. And I'll think about that for sure.
Okay, great. You have any questions for me? Anything related to finances or how you're planning your life? Anything that I can help with?
Currently, not at the moment, unless there's anything else that you'd like to get into.
No, I think I said it a few times that in my opinion, as a young student, you're doing well for yourself. You obviously need to bring your grades back up and see what you can do with your grants so that does not put any extra load on you. But otherwise, I wish you all the best. I strongly believe that somebody so mature like you is setting himself up for success in life. Very few people do it at this young age. So I commend you for that. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Okay. It was really a pleasure talking to you. And if now or later, if anything I can do to help you, if you have any question even later, feel free to reach out.
Definitely. Thank you. And it was great. It was great to be on this with you.
Thank you.